Hi, it's Jack Wilson. Welcome to a new series we're doing featuring minority-owned franchise systems. Hopefully, you've been enjoying them on our previous shows. Now, if this is your first time viewing this, there's a few things you should know. These are not franchisees, but the actual franchisors. They are the entrepreneurs who started the businesses and then decided that franchising was the best way to grow and scale their businesses. In the franchise model, the franchisor brings on franchisees using their concepts, processes, branding, and the support of the franchisor. And since there are so few African American and Hispanic franchisors, we decided to highlight them in our special series. We're here today with Carolyn and Charles Thurston of Wisdom Senior Care, a North Carolina based franchisor servicing the elder care industry. It's so nice to have both of you guys with us today.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Glad to be here, Jack.
Very good. Well, before we get into the franchise model of Wisdom Care, tell us a little bit about your background, both of you, and how you guys got this business started.
Okay. Well, Charles, I'll start off first. I'm Carolyn Thurston. I have a background in nursing. I'm actually a registered nurse, and I was born to a father who was in the military, and he did a lot of traveling, and we had the opportunity to travel with him as well. We visited a lot of different countries, and I'm telling you this story because that's where the seed of wisdom was planted. I got to see how seniors were taken care of in different cultures. And it really impressed me as a young child how much wisdom they had. Where in the United States, it seemed like once you reached a certain age, you were no more good. And so I started thinking about how could we cherish our seniors more. So it was in my concept in mind as a young child that the older I became, your parents would move in with you. You would take care of your parents. You would have to go to work. You would need a place for your parents to go. So I was like, hey, what about an adult daycare? So what I really thought, this was in the early 80s, I thought I was going to have a adult daycare, and look what it turned out. Jack, it turned out to be 24-hour service, but we're helping to keep our seniors in their home. So that's how wisdom got started. That seed was planted when I was in the 11th grade. Now, it took me a long time because as a business owner, if you talk, you got a lot of things that prevents you from taking that step, right? So I had a lot of things that kept me from doing that until one evening I had just had enough and I was like, you know what? What can I do? What's the one thing I can do? And guess what that was? I could fill out an application to get a home care license in the state of North Carolina. And guess how much it cost me? $350. I said, I can do that. I had no knowledge of business, right? But that's how wisdom came about. And that was in 2005. We got licensed in 2006.
Wow. I'll tell you, a lot of things just impressed me with what you said. One of the things that resonated was that you planted this seed when you were in the 11th grade. Well, I'm going to not talk about what I was planting, what kind of seed I was planting in 11th grade, and I'm glad none of them grew. But that's wonderful to hear how far back this concept, this idea, actually goes. Charles, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, sure, Jack. Thank you. What's so funny is that, like Carolyn said, honestly, we were destined to be together. We've been married for 30 years. My background is business management. I was loan officer for quite a few years with a local credit union, and then my background dealt with um, accounting for commercial retail. But what was exciting is that when, like Carolyn said, when it started in 2006, I came aboard in 2007 full time because just like in a marriage, I was committed no matter what. And we worked hard and smart. And one other thing to share, we both graduated from HBCU schools.
Yeah. I
Uh,
actually graduated from two
Oh,
HBCU schools.
well, she just upped you there, Charles. One up you.
that's right. She did. She did. Because back in high school, I was a nerd. But when I went to college, I went with honors, but I had a lot of growing up to do. But it prepared me for where we are today. And that's why I'm so passionate and excited where we are.
I love it. I love it. Thank you very much for saying that. And just for the record, I did not go to an HBCU. I wasn't smart enough to figure that out. I'm a child of parents who met at an HBCU. So, yeah, yeah. There
So
you
you're a product. We're all products of, right? We're all products of a HBCU. And because I really do, my story really is because of an HBCU that gave me the opportunity because I was not an A student. In fact, I wasn't even projected. My counselor didn't even think, she told me, oh, you probably need to do some secretarial type work. And so, but because of an HBCU, that's what helped open up the door. So I never forget those schools because if they weren't around, a lot of people like myself would not have an opportunity.
That's awesome. And a lot of people like me wouldn't even be alive because my parents met at an HBCU from two different states, went to the same
Amen.
HBCU, met, and here I am. I'm hosting these wonderful people, you guys. And that's awesome. So you guys started this business way back when, in the early 2000s. Now, there's a lot of different ways to grow. A lot of times people think, well, I'm going to bootstrap. Let me ask some more family friends. Let me get another loan from the bank or whatever. But you guys went a different route. You went the franchising route. What made you decide to use the franchise model rather than just expand yourself?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. When I first started out, my passion was just truly to help people. So I never even envisioned having like a business to do more than take care of my own personal needs and while I'm meeting other people's needs. So as things started to happen, I started bringing on, like Charles started coming on to help me, but still there was so many different hats that a lot of small business owners find yourself doing. I like to use a quote. I found myself working so much in my business, I didn't have time to look up and really figure out how to make the business grow. So, Jack, from 2006 to about 2015, at 2015, it became a breaking point for me. And I went to Charles and I said, because I felt like I was emotionally drained, I was physically, mentally, all of that. And I said, I think I'm losing my passion. And it really frightened me because that's all I really knew. And so he said, don't do anything. And he said, let's pray first. So we are believers. He said, let's pray first. And so as we did that, I happened to meet a gentleman, and it's a group, and I didn't even know what he did. He didn't really understood what we did, but that night he was speaking my language. He was saying everything that I was feeling on the inside, and I hadn't voiced this to anyone else but Charles, but he was saying the right things. And you know what he told me? He said, Carolyn, I want you to get this book. And the name of that book is E-Myth. And he said, I want you to read that book, and I believe you're going to find yourself on the first couple of pages. And so busy as an entrepreneur, didn't even have time to get the book, and I love to read. Do you know what this man did? He showed up at our office on that Monday with a brand new book. He put the book in my hand. I read the book in one night, and what I saw in there's two ways that you can scale your business, right? I was already exhausted, Jack, and Charles to tell you, I had helped at that point over 250 business owners develop their own home care business. I still had people calling me back, asking me after a year, 6 years, how do you do this? How do you do that? So when I read this book, franchising, Charles, why didn't we think about this? right? And so that guy that gave me the book, he was like they're a business coaching firm. They're called We Equip You. And they gave us the opportunity to sit down and start exploring how we could scale our business by still helping with the passion that I have for helping other people. I could still take that and then build something and build a legacy. So that's how that part started.
And if I can
Wow. Go
add,
ahead,
Jack,
Charles.
if I can add, the seed was planted years ago because Carolyn and I always been entrepreneurs and we were dreamers.
Yeah.
And because we had another business that we were doing, as a dating and as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so funny is that, see, Carolyn's very modest. We own 3 companies. We also own a school. And that school is licensed with the state of North Carolina. So all these things were just building up where she was so burnt out. So we said, no, let's just relax, pray, and then see how God moved us, if you know what I mean. But the exciting part is that we knew we would be destined to work together as a team and move forward. And I'm the type of person, when we said franchising, I said, okay, let me do the research. And I came up and found the International Franchise Association. Mm-hmm. And Carol and I were the type, when we do something, we do it all in 1,000%. We've been members of the IFA for 5 years, 5+ years, and we jumped all in. I mean, we went to every conference that they had. And to this day, we still do that. And we got involved in a lot of the different programs to help teach us and educate us on how to franchise because we knew we were new at this.
That's awesome. There are so many gems for our audience. There's so many gems you just heard Carolyn and Charles mention. IFA, the International Franchise Association, they're an excellent source of information. And he's not kidding. I was in San Diego in February of 2022. They were both there. Not just there, they were active there. They were getting credentials there. They were being recognized there. And that's critical. And why? Because if you're thinking about owning a business and using franchising as the path to business ownership, and you're thinking about who's the right franchisor, these are some of the things you want to hear when the franchisor started. When you want to talk to the franchisor, you want to talk to the founders, you want to hear how'd you start your business? What are you guys doing? And how are you helping people? That's what you're hearing here. Mm-hmm. You're hearing those things. And you know what? I have to admit, you guys, it's so great to hear a spiritual man and how he steps up, and a spiritual couple, how they work together. Love that. And you can see the benefits of that. Mm-hmm. So thank you for explaining, why you guys decided to use the franchise model. Yes, that the E-Myth by Michael Gerber, excellent. Mm-hmm. Glad you got a chance to go through that. It's one of the books that I try to suggest that people read. Yeah. And maybe they'll get that same light bulb, that same epiphany that you got to move forward. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for telling us a little bit about your background, kind of how you guys started. Let's zero in now on Wisdom Senior Care. Yes. How can someone, own one? What's the timeline to get it open? Do they have employees? Do they have contractors, franchise costs? All of that. That's what people are waiting to hear.
Yeah, so Wisdom Senior Care, our motto is keeping wisdom at home. And we truly mean that. Most of the time when people hear Wisdom Senior Care, they automatically think about a skilled facility. We are not that. We are about sending what we call skilled experts into wherever that senior calls their home. And our goal is to help them be able to be happy in that home without any complaints. Okay, that's our true goal. So as we're looking for franchisees to come into our system, we're wanting to make sure, first of all, that you have a compassion, right? You need to have a compassion, even though we're not going to have you out there maybe taking care. But you know what? A lot of our franchise owners, not one of them were stopped going out and actually if they had to go and work with a client, they didn't. They did it. Jack, they did not hesitate. They would go out and do that. But we're looking for people who have that compassion. Because think about it. If you have the compassion, the people that you bring on, right? What? They're going to mirror you, right? So that's one of our key things that we look for. So I want people to understand Wisdom Senior Care is not a building. It's not a structure, okay? So your largest expense or liability will be your workforce, okay? It will be your what we call skilled experts, your in-home caregivers, okay? And each state is different depending on where you are. There are states that you have to have all employees. It doesn't matter. So we help our franchisees understand what the state laws are so that way you can make sure you're doing things the correct way. So you may have people that have combinations of contractors and employees, or some that have all employees. Okay, so that's a little bit. Now, how our model works is that we can go, you send people out to provide service anywhere from 2 hours up to 24 hours, 7 days a week. Now, our model, we look for people who are able to pay for our service out of pocket. So we help our franchisees understand that target market. What does that target market look like? And then we help them understand how do you find and match the right caregivers so that that client or that senior can remain happy and their family can have a peace of mind knowing that they're in good hands. But I'll let Charles add on to that.
Well, here's the part that's funny. I never said my title. Carolyn, is the founder and the CEO, and I tell everybody I'm just the O. I'm actually the COO. But like she said, with the business model, private pay and long-term care insurance. And that's been our sweet spot for 17 years. We don't deviate from that. The good thing about it is, too, what a franchisee can understand with using that model, it allows you so you can be able to break even faster and be profitable. And the part that's so exciting, Jack, is we have proof.
Yeah.
We have our first franchisee did $1 million gross revenue in 1 year.
Wow.
Our corporate location did $2 million. So, and the beautiful part about it is year after year. So it's not a one and done. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, like Carolyn said, it's a need there. Our goal is to be able to serve those seniors the right way. And with that long-term care insurance, that's just a caveat on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, and I think people have to remember in our industry, the baby boomers, right? The statistics show that every day we have 10,000 people turning 65. But look at those 65s, look at those 75s, even about 85 right now, the population is living longer. Right? So the needs are, it's nowhere that you see that there's going to be like a max and then there's not going to be a need anymore, right? All of us, whether our parents are alive or not, if we have the blessing to have them alive, there's someone in your family that needs care. So you're always going to have people that are in need of. It may be a little different in how we deliver the care, but the need will continue to be there.
Yeah, I agree. And I really appreciate you guys bringing those points out, because a lot of clients, especially my clients who are looking to own a business through franchising, one of the things that ultimately either they figure out or I help them think about is, look down the line, look in the future, is what you're about to do, is it replaceable? Is it replaceable with AI? Is it replaceable with Amazon? Is it replaceable with any of those things? And your model is not. It's people helping people, right? So that's not getting replaced by some online process or system or anything like that. So it's critical that individuals who are looking to invest in a business and own a business and scale a business recognize trends. So you're talking about a big group of people going through and coming through for a number of years. And we're talking about, replaceability, substitution, and it's not there. Go ahead, Charles.
And if I could add, Jack, you're right, Carolyn. All during COVID, yes, that took the world in a different place. But you know how good God is? Now, we had all the industries and a lot of brands. We didn't miss a heartbeat because we were considered essential. And all during that time of COVID, we kept on doing what we had to do. Because why? Those seniors need that help. Well, the good thing about with the franchise model, it allowed you just to continue. That means those employees still got paid so they could take care of their families. That means those seniors were able to still have a sense of peace knowing that someone was there to take care of them, whether it was 2 hours or 6 hours. Those are the things that's, you can't get it back, but you can say, I'm grateful and thankful. And like you said, as a business model to be able to continue to scale, we can continue to keep doing and innovating in a better way for the long haul.
Love it. Love it. So how would you guys describe the type of person who could be successful as a Wisdom Senior Care franchisee?
Yeah, so if we look at some of our top performers already in our system, one common denominator that they all have is first people skills. They are so good with people. And if I can just share a real short story, our very first franchisee, he's very tall, but he's an Asian Chinese background. And I went out with him to do a assessment, talk to a senior. I knew, Jack, when I saw this, that we had the right match, right? Because this man got down on his knees. And when you talk about not being able to replace, one thing that robots can't take away from us is the human touch. He gets down on his knees and he grabs his client's hand who is in hospice. And when I saw that, I wish I had the opportunity to record it, but it helped me to see that we're doing something right. So number one is the people skills, that people having the ability, whether it's a client, a family member, a potential nurse you need to hire, a caregiver you've got to be able to deal with a lot of diversity, right? Because in this field, you have all kinds of things that are happening. So that would be number one. The second thing is, of course, the compassion. We mentioned that before, but also it helps to have some type of background in business. Now, not all of our people have had backgrounds, but even if you've had something that you did like a hobby, it's some kind, you've sold something to someone, you've had to market something to someone, and they bought something from you. That just helps a tremendous amount for people to have. And then as well as, and I'll let Charles bring in because he deals a lot with the capital and all those, but Charles, you can go ahead with that.
Oh, okay. Well, one, I was going to say organization skills as well. And that's a big key because communication is so vital. Like Carla said, with the diversity, one thing on the Wisdom team that we have every ethnic background that's been with Wisdom, from the employee all the way up to the administrative staff. And so even with generations on age as well, because we all think different, we do things different. So you have to have that skill set because like you said earlier, Jack, you're dealing with people. Now, the beautiful part about it with that skill set, you have to be able to take a note. Don't worry about it. But one thing about seniors, when they know you're genuine, they're going to be with you because one of our core values is loyalty and integrity and the compassion. And when you have that, you will do whatever. That's what's so fun.
Those are big ones, without a doubt.
Jack, I'm sorry, we left off too that it's really important for people to be teachable because you can come with no skill sets, as Charles put, but if they're teachable, right? We have a system that's in place that we can help them to grow, but they need to have a teachable spirit, okay?
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. All of those things are things that many people that are sitting in the corporate world right now trying to decide, what am I going to do? They may not have worked in a whole lot of different organizations in the corporate world, but they probably have those things that the two of you just mentioned.
Yes.
And coupled with your experience, your process, and so forth, can
Yep.
help and be successful.
Yep. I
There you
agree.
go.
Yes.
And faith.
Mhm.
Gotta have faith. Just step out on faith.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's no question about that. Now, I have to admit, and I think many folks who are looking at different franchise concepts would agree that when they look out there are other elder care franchise
Oh,
concepts.
yeah. It's a lot.
So, what are some reasons that they should really consider Wisdom Senior Care?
Well, I know this is subjective, but I'm going to just put it there that I'll tell you, like I tell our clients when I was doing direct care, there's so many different opportunities out there, but the key is you've got to find that right fit. It's like a family, and not every person is fit to even be in our culture, right? So it's about exploring. But some of the key things that you will find is that diversity. If you like that environment to be around a lot of diversity, Wisdom is a great place to come because we can take you from you being humble and teachable enough, we can take you from zero revenue to over $1 million in revenue if you find that this is a good fit for you. Um, Charles, you can jump in
Well, what I
anytime
was going to say
because
was
I could.
exciting when Carolyn said that is that you remember when I was sharing about the school?
Mhm.
Well, we also hire within and elevating people within the organization. One of our franchisees came through that school. She didn't have no background at all because I know, Jack, you probably wonder like others, well, do you have to be a nurse? Do you have to be a doctor or healthcare? No. It's that compassion for seniors. So what happened, quick story right quick. She lost her husband. She was an IBMer in computers. And what happens, she raised her kids. They got to the level of college. She said, I want to get back out in the workforce. And so Carolyn said, hey, why not come work for me? I don't know anything about seniors. Don't worry, we'll teach you. We have the program. So she went through the school. She did all the regs, and she became a supervisor. But she had that seed, that dream of being a Wisdom Senior Care franchisee. And right when COVID started, about a month or two later, she started her franchise. And she hit it and was blessed. I mean, she made some very good income that year, broke even, and was profitable.
Yeah.
What contributed to that was number one, the school. Two, we have business coaching. That's more than just a year. We have intellectual property that we have built in-house to help our franchisees, like Carolyn said, work on their business, not in their business, helping them with business financials, helping them with different KPIs so they know where they're going. Because why did they get in franchising in the first place? To create income, to create time, to create a legacy for the kids, travel, whatever it takes.
And don't forget, too, available territories. I think that's major. We are still what they consider emerging. So a lot of our other larger home care franchise systems are already sold out of things, right? So you have to wait until something comes available. We have some really great prime territory that people can be able to secure. So to me, that's another great opportunity for someone who wants to really invest into seniors and also creating career paths for employees as well.
Right. Plus the
Wow.
colors, purple and gold, or yellow.
Yeah, I know where you're going with that. Well, that's awesome with all of those differentiators. You guys reeled off 6, 7, 8 of them. Culture, diversity, a proven concept. Strong top line revenue, strong margins, coaching. Territories. There's a number of differentiators because you're right. There's a lot of folks in franchises in the elder care space. But what you want to look for is where can I go? Where can I go as a new franchisee and be successful? You guys just told us, your view of that, and I strongly agree there. Now let's ask the last question. So, what steps does a person need to take if they want to learn more about Wisdom Senior Care?
I'll let our trooper, he's our franchise developer, really. So go ahead, Charles. We'll let you take that.
Thank you, Madam CEO and the founder. But what they can do, Jack, they can go out to, of course, our website, wisdomseniorcare.com/franchise opportunities. They can call 919-615-0020, or they can send an email directly to the franchise development team, which will be me and others. Also, we are on LinkedIn and YouTube as well, and Facebook. And one thing I just wanted to add, if that was okay, we are also building a legacy. Both of our young adult girls, our daughters, they work for us and with us. And they're understanding now the attributes and the concepts of franchising. Jasmine, she runs the corporate location in the Durham area, and Mariah actually is the administrator for the Wisdom Health Academy. So that way it's a marriage, but they're learning these business principles. So that way they can continue to pass that on to the children's children.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That really resonates with, what we talk about as far as, family legacies and so forth. Our children are only going to learn if we teach them. They're only going to see it if we expose them to it. And then when they see us walk the talk, when they see us do it, it's even better than us just talking about it, right? There's one other thing I want to bring up, and I'd love to hear you guys' comments. So our audience probably doesn't know this, but you guys end up in a lot of different places around the country. Of course, you're prolific in the franchising space. Now, just a week or so ago, you were on Capitol Hill. Can you guys help our audience get a little insight into why you guys were in the nation's capital and what the import of that was?
Yeah. Do you want to start, Charles? And I can enter
Okay.
that. Okay.
Carolyn is so modest, but you know why I'm so proud of her? Now, she's on the board of directors for the IFA. And we don't take that lightly. We don't take things for granted because we're always appreciative where we've been and where we're going. But and to say that with the by being in Washington, D.C., what they have is a campaign called Open for Opportunity. And so it allows us, and special for as a minority, it allows us to help educate, promote for our House of Representatives and our senators about franchising. Now, if I could back up right quick, Jack, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago, they contacted Wisdom and asked if we'd be willing to testify in front of the Internal Revenue Service and Department of Treasury. And so we were there to be able to help discuss about the tax code for all business owners and all franchises in the United States. So that spearheaded for Carolyn and I to be able to say, hey, we got a good mission here. We love FranPack. Let's dig into that as well and start moving forward. But Carolyn, if you want to go ahead and add.
Yeah. So we understand how important from our story, learning about franchising. We had heard about McDonald's like a lot of people do, but not until you really start digging in. We can't just assume everybody understands franchising. So a big part of our advocacy work is to help the people who are making these rules, right? They need to know your story. They need to know that we are not one big corporation, that a franchisee is a small business owner who took their monies, their resources, right? They need to hear their success stories. So these campaigns that the IFA is doing is bringing awareness to people that helps people see that, hey, there's an opportunity here. We didn't understand that. Hey, we need to look more into this. And it's so important. And we teach our franchisees, don't get so caught working in your business that you look up one day and there's a law sitting here and you're like, how did this happen? You need to be working on your business, connecting with these regulators so we can make sure our voice is heard.
And Jack, if I can add, you know what's so powerful by being a member of the IFA? We are also part of the Black Franchise Leadership Council. Carolyn is the co-chair. I'm on the marketing committee. You know a lot of the people in that council. We also have the Pride Council. They have the Hispanic Council. We're on Vet Friend. We're also members of Vet Friend. So all these different Diversity Institute, which is different programs within the IFA, what it does, it helps supports everyone. And that's the key, because you said it earlier. When we can support all walks of life, everybody wins.
Yep.
To make a better society and for their own personal growth.
I love it. So that's leadership. So for our audience, the IFA, the International Franchise Association, if you're not familiar with it, get familiar with it. Look it up. There's a lot of resources there that's free for you. And when you become a franchisee, don't just leave it to your franchisor. What you want to do is get active. You know, whether it be with FranPac or one of the councils. Charles mentioned the Black Franchise Leadership Council. I actually chair the Access to Capital Committee. And these committees are made up of people just like you. You become a franchisee or you're a franchise supplier. All of those make up these things. But we don't want to have what Carolyn mentioned to happen is you look up and there's a law against us or against your business in franchising. Be active. Participate with the IFA, FranPac, and look for franchisors that are not just committed to making money, but committed to making a difference and being a voice in the community, just like the Thurstons you just heard. Thank you guys very, very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yes. It's been a pleasure. And for those in our audience who are interested in learning more about Wisdom Senior Care, you could do as Charles said, just go right to them. But that franchise opportunity is, it's a unique one. It's a special one for all the reasons you just heard. You could contact us here at J3 if you'd like, or directly just reach out to Charles and his team. And be sure to mention you're a J3 VIP. You can qualify for up to $5,000 in start capital. See, we're putting our money where our mouth is.
That
we're in our clients and in their businesses. So thank you two very, very much. And for our audience, we look forward to seeing you again in our next episode of our series featuring minority-owned businesses and franchises.